Selina had always felt that the forest was her sanctuary, her place of peace and quiet. She was born and raised in a small house on the edge of a village, surrounded by the forest. From a very young age, she would wander these woods. And even in the darkest of times, the forest had always been her faithful companion. Her mother often told her that the forest was not just a place for walks, but something much older and more mysterious. Selina had often heard her tell stories of how, in ancient times, people avoided venturing too deep into the woods, never entering its darkest corners. This place was full of secrets, and some of those secrets were better left undisturbed. However, despite her mother's warnings, Selina did not believe in these legends. She thought that rumors and stories were merely the fantasies of people who feared what they didn't understand. The forest was familiar to her, a safe place, her personal corner of nature, where she felt truly alive. The day her story began, the weather was unusually cold for mid-autumn. The thickening fog enveloped the forest, making the trees seem even older and more mysterious than usual. Everything was swallowed by a grey light, and the world seemed to move in slow motion. Selina stood by her house, looking at the forest, feeling an irresistible urge to walk the familiar paths. She decided it would be a perfect day to wander deeper into the woods and take a break from the bustle of the city. When she approached the forest, the cold air filled her lungs. The frost-covered leaves rustled under her feet. She took a few steps forward and glanced around. Inside the forest, it was unnaturally quiet. No sounds could be heard, as if nature itself had held its breath. Selina noticed that the air here felt thick, as if saturated with some strange energy. She walked further, trying to enjoy the moment of peace, but the deeper she went, the stranger the forest became. The tree branches intertwined, forming unimaginable patterns. Sometimes it seemed like the branches were moving, as if some invisible force was pulling them in different directions. Selina decided it was just her imagination. The forest was full of life, as always. But soon she noticed something strange. The path she had been walking on suddenly veered to the side, leading her to what she thought was an abandoned spot. It was dark here, and light barely filtered through the thick branches. Right before her, there was a small clearing, and in the center stood a stone, covered in moss. This stone wasn't just an ordinary boulder. It looked like an altar, an awkward structure created by nature, but so skillfully hidden among the trees that Selina felt an unusual sense of unease. She stepped closer, and suddenly the air turned cold. The stone, almost as if alive, seemed to breathe something ancient. Selina couldn't explain what caused the chill, but she knew she needed to leave. But something held her there. Her gaze caught something strange. Ancient runes, nearly erased by time, were carved into the stone. Selina touched the stone with her finger, and the ground beneath her feet trembled. Her heart skipped a beat. She recoiled, but it was too late. Dark figures slowly began to appear from behind the trees. They were tall, their outlines merging with the fog. The wind had stopped, and the forest stood still in absolute silence. The figures moved slowly, but with each step, their silhouettes became clearer. They were not human, nor animals. They were like shadows, but with definite shapes, cloaked in darkness. Selina felt her body freeze in an inexplicable heaviness. She tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed by the fog, and the figures continued to approach. Selina ran, not realizing that her feet weren't moving as fast as they should have. The forest closed in on her, and every tree seemed alive, watching her every move. The shadows pursued her, and with each step she felt her strength draining away. The forest swallowed her, refusing to let her escape. The path she had been following disappeared, and only emptiness remained. The fog thickened like milk. She turned around and saw the shadows drawing closer. One of the beings stepped forward, and from its palm a gust of wind blew, clouding her vision. Selina realized she couldn't leave. The forest wouldn't let her go. "You've come to us, Selina," a voice rang out from the darkness. It wasn't just a voice. It was a feeling, filling her soul, confusing her thoughts and making her heart race wildly. Selina fell, her body paralyzed in helplessness, but her mind remained clear. She remembered her mother's words, her warnings. The forest is not just a place, it is a living entity, hiding its secrets. Never disturb its peace. But now it was too late. The dark figures surrounded her, and one of them stepped forward. "You are one of us now," they said, and everything around her was consumed by darkness. When the locals discovered that Selina had disappeared, they searched for her for days, but the forest remained silent. The fog concealed all her tracks, and by dawn, no one could find the path that led to her. Time passed, and no one could explain what had happened to the girl. But sometimes, when the fog once again envelops the forest, strange figures can be seen among the trees, as if the forest still hasn't let go of Selina. The shadows of the forest wait for those who dare disturb its peace.